Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Is 5 years a long time? Well, I don't know. Let's talk about that a little bit. 5 years. 5 years can seem like a very, very long time, especially if you're going to college. You know, most of us that went to college, or those of us that are currently in college, or those of us that are about to be in college, we know that traditional degree pursuits take 4 years to accomplish. Some degrees take 5. I mean, I remember when I went to school, I had a friend that was studying architecture, and that was a 5-year degree program. Now, I studied business, but before I studied business, I actually studied something called computer science. And after a year of taking calculus and computer science classes and all those make your head hurt classes, I had an epiphany. I did. I realized that maybe that wasn't for me, that studying computer science was maybe a bridge too far. So I wound up changing my major. And as a result, it took me 4.5 years to graduate college because some of the courses that I took in my freshman year didn't count towards a degree pursuit because they were in a different college. They were in the College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences, which is where the computer science folks resided when I went to college. And then I had to transfer over to the business school. So I lost about, roughly a semester. And I will tell you, going to college was an experience that cost me a lot of time. It did. See, one of the reasons I went to college was based on knowledge that had been imprinted upon my mind, which basically said, if I was going to be successful, if I was going to get into the workforce, I needed to go to college in order to have the ability to get a higher paying job. So for me, going to college was a method or what's the word I'm looking for? You know the word I'm looking for. It's the word that means rite of passage. I guess that's really what I'm trying to get at. See, going to college was a rite of passage for me. Now, to get to college, I had to do well in high school. And I did pretty well in high school. I was one of those kids that didn't really have to study so much in high school. Not because I'm smarter than anybody else. It's just that I think high school wasn't that challenging. And when I got to college, they turned up the heat on me real fast. I found myself having to do something I had never done in my entire educational history. Actually, I had to work for my grades. And as I was working for those grades, there were other people that were doing better than I was. I mean, I wasn't a straight A student in college. I was more like a B minus kind of guy. But one of the things that impacted me when I went to college was the concept that I had to get that degree because I had competed for an ROTC scholarship. Actually, I had competed for ROTC scholarships with all the branches of service. The Air Force awarded me a 2-year scholarship, the Navy a 3-year scholarship, the Army a 4-year scholarship. So by default, I wound up in the Army. And I realized that I would be able to get better pay than I could earn out of high school if I got that college degree. And by the way, it was a requirement to become commissioned a second lieutenant in the Army to have that bachelor's degree. Yeah, the government basically said, you have to have this in order to do that. And they paid for college for me. College was a long time. It was 4.5 years of my life. And then once I completed college, I went to work serving our country. And I did that for 27 years until it was time for me to retire, which I did. And if you think 5 years is a long period of time, compare that to 27 years, which was a very long period of time. And here's where I'm going with all of this. If I had known in my youth that there was a way to invest 5 years of my life into something that could make me financially independent, something that could change the path I was going in, something that had the ability to provide me passive income streams in lieu of the earned income streams that I worked so long and hard for in my life. If I had known that I could have invested 5 years of time into learning how to correctly invest in real estate, I might be in a completely different place than I am right now. Now, I'm not having remorse. I'm not saying that I want to take back everything that I did. It's just the advantage of knowing that hindsight is 20/20. And what I find very amazing is that you can change your life in as little as 5 years. You can change the path that you're on, and you can get to a point of retirement in your life that has nothing to do with an income stream. Well, it does. Actually, it has a lot to do with an income stream, but it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with age. When we come back from the break, I've got more on that. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. So on today's show, I'm asking the question, is 5 years a long period of time? And I guess it depends on your frame of reference. I mean, think about it. If you were an insect, okay, you're not, I get that. But let's say you were. Most insects don't live 5 years. I mean, some insects live a couple of days. I mean, that's their lifespan. That's how long they make it. So to an insect, 5 years would be a very, very long period of time. What about your phone? How old is your phone? You know, that smart device that, you know, is a computer and everything else, literally your personal assistant. How often do you upgrade that phone? I mean, are you using a phone that's 5 years old? Now, I'm using a phone that's about 3 years old. Haven't quite gotten to the point where I want to upgrade it yet because it's still serviceable. But I don't know if it's got 2 more years of lifespan in it. So when it comes to my phone, 5 years, that would actually be a pretty long period of time. If I could make my phone provide the utility that I need for 5 years, that would be a good return on my investment. How about your computer? Do computers have a tendency to have a life expectancy of 5 years? I would say some probably do. But those that do probably get upgrades along the way. Maybe you increase the memory, maybe you increase the disk space, maybe you upgrade the software, the drivers, things like that. But I would venture to say that most computers placed before they hit 5 years of age. So what about a human being? Is 5 years a long period of time for a human being? Well, I would submit to you, if you're 5 years old, okay, if you're 5 years old and you're listening to this radio show, you are probably a prodigy. But think about it. A 5-year-old, I mean, that's their entire lifespan. It's all they have ever known, that 5 years. And chances are they don't even remember the first half of it because most of us can remember maybe a little bit from when we were toddlers. Yeah, you know where I'm going. Now, how about me? I'm 56 and a half years old. Is 5 years a long period of time for me? Well, yeah. I mean, essentially, 5 years equates to 1/11 of my life. So 5 years when you put it into context, has a different meaning depending on how you apply the 5 years. I'm here to submit to you that I don't think 5 years is a real long period of time unless you're doing something that isn't getting you to where you're trying to get to. Now, I've got buddies in the Army that went to West Point. And one of the conditions for going to West Point is that you agree, when you contract with the Army to attend West Point, they're going to provide you a great education. And when you graduate from West Point, you agree to serve 5 years on active duty. Now, it's a total of an 8-year commitment, but you agree to serve 5 years on active duty. The other 3 years, you can stay on active duty. You can make it a career if you want. Or you can step over into what we call the reserve component, either the Army Reserve or the Army National Guard. And you can continue serving there for as long as you want, but you got to do at least the other 3. Now, people that go to West Point, they agree to commit to 5 years serving our country on active duty. And many of them reach a decision point at that 5-year mark. They either decide that they're going to stay on active duty, at least for a while longer, because they're enjoying what they're doing. They feel like they're making a difference. Or they decide to leave active duty and pursue life in the civilian sector. Now, in a 5-year period of time, you can get promoted to the rank of captain, and you can serve as a captain for a while. So a lot actually happens in a 5-year period of time. I will tell you, when we were, messing around over in Afghanistan and Iraq and all those places, we would go boots on ground for 9-month rotations. 9 months away from your family. 9 months nested within that 5-year obligation. And many people went back over and over again. I'll tell you what, when you're deployed, it can seem like forever. So when you get back home and you're not deployed, time goes a little faster. At least that it seems that way. So where am I going with all of this? Where's all this lamenting going? Well, I think 5 years is an incredibly long period of time, especially if you're focused on doing things that aren't providing you streams of passive income. You see, when you learn how to invest correctly, and what I talk about is investing correctly in residential income producing real estate. If you've been doing anything for 5 years straight and it hasn't produced enough passive income to meet or exceed your ordinary expenses, then I would submit to you what you're doing, it's ineffective. And it probably needs to change. See, most of us don't get that word early in life. Heck, I didn't get that word until about 3.5, 4 years ago. That's when I stumbled across Lifestyles Unlimited. And I came in and listened to what they had to say, and I realized, you know what? They've got something here. Because what I had been doing for my entire life was essentially working, bringing in money to buy stuff that wasn't getting me to a place of retirement. When we come back from the break, I'm going to share some information with you that you haven't heard before. Stick around.
Warning. Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. So I found something on the internet that was written by a lady by the name of Gina Belli, and she makes a very interesting point. Here's what she said. She said, on average, people now spend approximately 13 years and 2 months of their lives at work. If you often put in overtime, you can factor in an additional year and 2 months. The average worker spends nearly a quarter of their time on the job during a typical, get this, 50-year stint of employment. Yeah, think about it. Now put that in context to my question regarding 5 years. Is 5 years a long period of time? Well, based on what Gina wrote, what she did was she did an analysis where she said, okay, if you work X amount of hours per day, yada, 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 and you assume that all you did was work, and you put all those hours back to back over a linear time period, you'd get to 13 years and 2 months. But we all know that we don't work 24/7. We have a tendency to work a set number of hours, a set number of days, maybe a set number of overtime, or maybe overtime is not set. So if you look at it from the context of the fact that you have to sleep, your body needs to recharge, and most of us don't get enough sleep because we're so busy working, I would submit to you that 5 years doesn't have to be a long period of time. I would also submit to you that if you change your focus regarding how you invest your money, 5 years doesn't need to be a long time at all. And here's where I'm coming from. I've met so many people at Lifestyles Unlimited that have achieved the point of retirement in their lives at that 5-year mark or even sooner. Now, some people need a little extra time. Maybe it's because they're trying to replace an even bigger chunk of income. Or maybe they started investing in real estate with not a lot of money to start with. So it took them a little bit more time to grow their investments. But what we have found is that by diligently staying focused on investing correctly, by obtaining a qualified education that teaches you how to do all of that, by surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals that are either on that path or have completed that path, that are stretching their hands back to you to pull you across the finish line, you can get it done in 5 years or less. Now, I got an email over the weekend from a member. He asked me not to share his name, and I can understand why. He's working in corporate America. He doesn't want anybody to know what he's up to. Because in corporate America, you're supposed to be giving your heart, mind, and soul to that organization. They expect you to drink the Kool-Aid and to toe the line and wave the flag. All the while, probably not having much in the form of loyalty for you, because if something comes along that seems like a better opportunity to them with regards to your position, maybe you go away. And that happens out there. It happens in corporate America. So let me just read with you what I can read regarding this email, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to give away the farm, nor do I want to unmask this person. This person says this: as a member since 2016, so they've been a member for, we're just in 2021. They didn't say when they started. So I'm going to assume they're probably at about the 4.5 year mark. And having owned single family properties since as way back as 2006, I'm excited to tell you that because of my membership in Lifestyles Unlimited, I am in a position to walk away from the corporate crap, bureaucracy, fear, dependency, and most importantly, the stress that has taken a 30-year toll on me. Let that sink in for a minute. This person was doing everything that society told them to do. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, get more good grades, get into the workforce, consume, make some money, consume, make some money, consume. Yeah, that's kind of what we do. We all get caught up in the rat race of life. Now here, let me get back to the email. This person says this: worst off, I am seeing the company push out 50-plus-year-olds like me. They couldn't care less about what I have contributed to the company in the past. Everything is about today and tomorrow, less about the individual. Yeah, this is a person that is seeing the skullduggery of the corporate world. See, the corporate world looks at you in your 40s or your 50s and they say, I can replace you. You cost me X, but I can buy younger talent for Y, saving me a delta of Z, and then I'll just make that guy over there work a little bit harder to train that person up. It's win-win for the corporation. If you don't think that goes on in corporate America, wow. I'm thinking about selling you that bridge that goes over the Brooklyn. Yeah, anyway, you know the Brooklyn Bridge story. So anyhow, let me get back to the email. They say, with that said, I am a proud Lifestyles Unlimited investor. I have sold most of my single-family homes, and I only have 2 left. I'm currently in 14 multifamily deals across 5 states and enjoy the Lifestyles Unlimited family and networking. To say I am blessed to retire later this year with passive income is an understatement. This would not be possible without the Lifestyles Unlimited family and the networking and the relationships. This guy or gal, because I'm not telling you who it is in the Gets It Club. They found us in 2016. They went to work changing the structure of their lives. And now, coming up on that 5-year mark, they've grabbed the brass ring. It's really cool. And we come back from the break. There's actually an additional piece of information from this email that I'm going to share with you. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Welcome back to the show. So the Pew Research Center conducted a study back in 2020, back when coronavirus was shutting our country down. They found that 28% of the respondents had lost their jobs or had been laid off because of the outbreak of coronavirus. And they say that that affected somewhere in the neighborhood of 800,000 people in the United States. They go on to say that an additional third had to take pay cuts, and maybe that was a condition of keeping their job, or who knows, or maybe that's all their job could do for them. So when you think about it, 43% of Americans that were polled by the Pew Research Center were affected. Now, a year ago today, there may have been some news reports about coronavirus. There was stuff filtering around out there, but we as a nation had not dealt with it. Now, we were just, going about our merry ways, fat, dumb, and happy. It's 2020, going to be the best year ever, right? It wasn't for another 30 to 45 days that we really saw the bottom drop out with the shutdowns. Now, if you're one of those people that was affected by coronavirus, my heart goes out to you because you didn't do anything wrong. I can't even blame that on corporate America. It was a situation that impacted our country. It impacted me. It impacted you. It impacted everybody. And regardless of where you are, or were, I should say, in your employment lifespan, nobody saw 2020 happening the way 2020 happened. Now, in hindsight, boy, we know exactly what happened. Very, very rough year for the United States and the world as a whole. So I'm going to get back to that premise. Is 5 years a long period of time? Well, I would tell you, if you started investing in real estate 10 years ago, let's go back to 2011. I mean, the country was coming out of kind of a meltdown of all sorts in the real estate market, in the stock market. But the people that invested in real estate in 2011 were able to acquire properties on sale. They were able to acquire real estate assets that they were able to repurpose and put back into inventory to provide clean, functional workforce housing for a segment of the population that desperately desires it. You could have gotten to 2016, taken the 5-year plan, and in 2016, you would have been done. You could have been retired in 2016. Or, like my fellow member that sent me the email, who got started in 2016, this person has been able to position themselves through real estate investing in a way that they're ready to walk away from corporate America. They got it done in 5 years. I'm going to tell you that you can get it done in 5 years too. Regardless of where you start, regardless of how much money you have to start with, regardless of what your experience level is, we can show you how to change your life starting today. The clock isn't slowing down. As I continue to age, and I realize that 5 years is kind of a small subset of my life, I also realized that, man, had I known what I know now back then, I would be in a completely different financial position. Now, let me get back to the email, because my fellow member has a message they want to send to you. And this is coming from a fellow member. This is not coming from me per se, although I absolutely agree with what I'm about to read. They say this: word to the wise, start today. Tomorrow will be here before you know it, or can control when they show you the door. Yeah, what this person is warning you of is that you don't know what's going to happen in the future. When the Army selected me for retirement, I wasn't ready to go. I actually, in my mind, thought I would be promoted to the next rank because I had a letter saying you've been selected for promotion. It was just a matter of mechanics. But unfortunately, there were no positions to promote me into. And as a result, I was selected for retirement. And that was difficult for me because I had been leading a life of pretty much living hand to mouth. I mean, we consumed just about everything that I earned. And part of it was because we were a single income household. We made that deliberate decision to do that. And we lived in a high cost portion in the United States. I spent most of my military career in California. It's expensive to live there. And even though they give you higher housing allowances, it's really just enough to get by. Now, I'm going to tell you the tale of an almost 23-year-old man. And this guy just happens to be my son. See, 3.5 years ago, when he was 19, he brought me to a Lifestyles Unlimited free workshop. And I was skeptical. I'll be very honest with you. I was skeptical. I'm a very skeptical person. And when I listened to the information that was being presented at that free workshop, it actually made sense to me. And my son and I, that day, after the workshop was over, we became members of Lifestyles Unlimited. And the first thing we had to do was go to the Financial Freedom course. That's where we teach everybody what right looks like with regards to investing in single-family and multifamily properties. And once we completed that training, we started investing correctly into real estate. And for me, that meant fixing some mistakes that I had made because I owned real estate prior to becoming a member. And what I learned was that everything that I had been doing, well, for the most part, it was all wrong. And I had to remedy that. And I learned how to take assets that were actually losing money for me every month. I was paying negative cash flow out of my pocket to keep those assets alive. And I transitioned them into assets that were actually paying me money every month. Yeah, you think about it. I mean, there's a big difference between shelling out $1,000 a month out of your own pocket and receiving $1,000 per month just by structuring the deals correctly, structuring the assets correctly. That's a $2,000 flip right there. Now, getting back to that almost 23-year-old man, well, again, that's my son. And he is right now on the hunt for another piece of investment property. See, he's been investing in real estate for the last 3.5 years. And he's getting very, very close to achieving retirement. Imagine being retired at the age of 24 or 25. Yeah, he's not imagining it. He's staring it square in the eyes. So think about it. What if you could turn your life around in 5 years by investing correctly? We can show you how to do it. Go to freeworkshoplivestream.com. And remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.